morning. This is Theresa with the library. I believe that we have fixed the sound. I don't know that I have quite enough light. So excuse me, passing in front of the camera while I try to get some more light on the subject. Let's see. I started painting early this morning, and as you can see by my hands, I've been having a lot of fun trying to loosen up before we get started. So let me see how this looks. Get everything caught up. We're going to be doing some creative stuff with texture. Yeah, y'all could probably be a little closer, but I don't think I'm going to mess with it any more than this. This is what I was working on this morning. I did take a canvas that had something on it that I didn't particularly like, and I just started building up some layers of paint, washing it away, putting some salt on it to add some texture, which is one of the things we're going to talk about today. And then I found this old thing of gold leaf when I was hunting through my paint. This is gooped up, nasty stuff, but I still spread a little bit of that on there. So this is kind of what we're going to be talking about this morning, is just playing with what you have. Not really worrying about what's happening in the beginning, just loosening up, putting something down. But we're going to talk about that first layer of what you can do to add some texture to help create depth to what you're creating. So, I have some small canvases. It's white on white. You're not going to be able to see this. This one actually, another, find of my art supplies, is I had some white gesso that is really, the lid wasn't closed very well. It's a little thick in there. I was scooping it out, and I just smeared it on here. And if I run my hands across it, I don't think that you can see, but there is some texture on there that you would be able to see more when we start painting on it. One of the other things that you can use on canvas, one of the things you want to be careful of is when you're putting something on a canvas, is that it's flexible. This is a canvas board, so you want it to be flexible so that when you put it on there, it will be able to move with the canvas. You also can't do a lot of scrubbing. You can't do a lot of manipulation. So with that in mind, I was using modeling paste. You can get this at any Hobby Lobby, Michael's, any of those places. You can order it online. This is not the most expensive, but it works for what I want it to work with. I can also mix it with the paint on here. If I feel like I don't have enough and I want it to really be thick, I can mix it directly with the paint and then put it on. So this is a really good product. So that's what I have on here, just a little bit going around. I apply it with something like this, just, messing around. This is a board. It's meant to be a sign, but I also put some of that modeling paste on here. Now, if you're going to use a board, you can use different materials. I've used joint compound a lot in the past. You can put joint compound down on your board. You can build it up a little bit more. So we'll look at that. And every time I open it up, I've got some on my lid. I just kind of smear that on there. You can take your whatever tool you want. You can move it around, you know, create as much texture as you want. Try not to leave any not used. Now, something you can also do, sequin waste is really good for a lot of things. You can put that on there. You can create texture in this stuff so that that is part of the texture that you're building in. So now I have this blank slate, so to speak, that I can, after it dries, I can paint on. So just have fun with that. But those are some really good ways to create some texture. Now, some of the other things, since I made that one flat, we're putting it over there. I'm gonna have stuff everywhere here in a minute. I'm gonna be looking for my head. So, this is the one with just gesso. You could put it down with gesso. If I had any good gesso, I could do that. I can put it down with paint medium. I'm actually going to use a little bit of Mod Podge to demonstrate this. I don't have a lot of white tissue paper. This is one of those really big industrial sized coffee filters. I don't necessarily want it to be a big round circle on here. So, you know, you can just tear it into pieces. Let's see, I know I pulled out some foam brushes, and you can put those down. Put some, put some on here. Don't be as stingy as I'm trying to be. And, put that down. You want the wrinkles. That's what you're looking for, is that texture from the wrinkles. I have those coffee filters. I don't know why. I don't drink coffee, and I certainly don't have anything that makes, that needs a coffee filter that big. I'm actually going to go ahead and leave that hard edge there and see how it plays into this piece. So I'm going to put that down. So that creates texture to lay your paint down on. Now, I'm sure that you all know about what a wonderful art supply paper sacks are, brown craft paper sacks. It's probably a little bit bigger than I need. So you can do the same thing. I don't know if any of y'all ever did that thing when we were like making faux leather walls, and I can't even remember when that was, but people were gluing paper sacks to their walls to create faux leather walls. It was the whole thing. Lots of fun. Kept people busy. Made them feel creative. So you just, you can use any number of materials to adhere that. Like I said, you could use gesso, you could use paint medium. I'm just using Mod Podge because it's on my table. So you just glue that down. I'm going to run it over the edge. So when I get ready to paint, I will have texture. Now, I'm not going to cover the whole thing because it's more interesting if you have different stuff going on with texture. So, but that'll create some interesting things. And since it's so hot outside, I'll be putting this outside later. Okay, so you can do things like this to create texture underneath your paintings, and you can experiment on small canvases, canvas boards, or even acrylic paper, Bristol paper, things like that. So I know I have one that's dry. That's this one. Okay. So we've put something down to help us create texture. Now we're going to talk about how you can create texture with paint. And when you talk about texture, you talk about that illusion of depth within a painting. And so that's why having something that gives rise and fall, creates shadows and high spots where the light hits, that helps with that. I have some paint laid out on my baking sheet. When I use the thicker body paints, I will sometimes do this because I can mix them better. I'm not using as much of a wet paint. So let's see what happens. Yeah, okay. I'm just gonna start playing. I hope you watch along. Let's see. I really like the browns and the blues. They are my favorites. And I have a tendency to start dark and then go light. I don't think that's technically correct. Let's see how when I put that down there and it hits that texture, now you can kind of see where that is. You've got high spots, low spots. I've got drag marks from my tool that's also getting in there. And I'm not even really worrying about what I'm doing right now. I hate to say that, but this is kind of what I do. Yeah, I'm not so sure that I'm a big fan of the texture that I created, but I'm definitely gonna work with it. Love teal. Teal's one of my favorite colors. You'll notice the only color I have not put out is my light yellow green, and I don't have, there's two paint colors that I am in need of, and that is a true ochre and a true yellow green. And right now I am not in possession of, I have them in really thin paint. I can pull them out if I want to have a transparent color, but I don't really have it for what I'm doing. Now, there's a little bit of depth in here. You know, you can keep playing with it, keep moving things. It's a little wet, so you'll start getting a little muddy, but see how I can put some white in there to brighten it up. One of my problems is always trying to make sure that I want to get finished before I get all the paint on there. I'll go, oh, I really like that. And then I will look at it later and I go, oh, I didn't cover the whole canvas. But see how I'm just playing? I'm just scooping up some paint, you know, putting it on there. Now, one of the things to create texture within your painting that you're doing is mark making with tools. I've been moving everything around. I'm going to use this stick, and you can probably see how I am making that mark go through there. Let's see if you can see it a little closer. And it's just, you know, scratching the surface with this stick. You know, you can write a word if you want to. I don't necessarily put a lot of words. If I'm going to put words, that's going to be totally hidden in my artwork, kind of like hidden messages of joy and peace and love. But so you can you can do that. Once again, I have my sequin waist. Now, I am really bad about grabbing anything that's close at hand and using it. So I don't have a true, here, we're gonna use this. so that you can see it. I'm going to pounce that over the sequin waist, and you can see that we create that. That's not probably going to be part of the finished product, but for being under there right now, it's a pretty good start. Yeah, and that's going to be a blob. I'm not doing a very good job. You can do things like that. Now, I don't want you to think that once you put something down that you have to live with it forever, because you don't. It's paint. You can paint over it. Now, some of the texture you may have to live with forever, but if you want to work around it, you can always, you can put paint on, spritz it with water. It'll soften some of your paint up. You can lift it when you have the water on there, and it'll start running. And that's kind of cool. That almost looks like the liquid flow stuff that I have been doing. One of the things I've been working on is do you see my fancy paintbrush? Yes, it's on the end of a stick. This works much better on big canvases that you want to not have as much control over. So even with this, I can dip that in there, and I'm gonna stand up for a moment, and you can put your hand on the very end of the stick and do some painting. I don't have quite enough white to do much, and it's really wet in there. I want some white down here. Okay. So I'm not really doing what I want to do on this right now. But you can also remove paint. You can smoosh it around. The more layers of paint that you have, the more depth you have, that helps you create texture. I really like that little bit of white over that blue. Not crazy about anything else I've done on here. I've created one big ginormous mess for y'all. Let's see. The first intuitive painting I did for y'all was a little bit more structured. It was more linear in scope. This, I am trying to be really loose, and I'm getting really muddy. There's no doubt about that. That was too soft. Let me try this. Take some paint away. And then whatever paint I pick up, I can also put portions of it down in other places. Yeah. Yeah, I went way dark and way muddy on this piece. Okay. Let's see. Where is this? I'm going to put my stick through there like that. I'm going to make some lines. Those are kind of cool. Let's roll this, see what happens. I'm just playing. I want y'all to not be afraid to get in there and play. Happy accidents happen. You might do something that you really like, maybe not. I'm not liking this at all. And what do I normally do when I don't like something? I usually put gold on it. I'm Let's see, I've got some gold right here. It's not that gold leaf, but it is some gold. Yeah, I like the gold leaf better. I actually went to a friend's house to loan them some supplies, and I loaned them the gold that I really like. Okay. This is a mess. Right now, what I can do is I can let this dry, and then when it dries, I can pull out what I need. I can paint over what I don't like, and I can make it into something else. It's not a total loss. It's just not where it needs to be right now, and it's too wet for me to do a lot with. But since I do have so much wet paint on here, and I want to create some more texture. Oh, one of my lights went out. Sorry, my dog decided to lay under the table, and she unplugged my light. I'm going to put quite a bit of salt, this is just salt, in the places where I see it's wet, in the wet paint, and that will help. And do not ever be afraid of getting paint on your fingers. Acrylic paint washes off fairly well. I went to the store yesterday and I looked down and I had paint all over my hand. I'm not always the best at seeing all of it. So, this one, it's not looking so good. I will say sometimes I have performance anxiety. But I actually like this one that I did earlier in the morning waiting for you guys. So, and like I said, there was something underneath here that was totally not doing what I wanted it to do, and I played with it. I relaxed and played with stuff. This has some salt texture in it. It's a little dark, but you know, I think everything for me right now is a little dark. I think this kind of follows, like, your eye nearly always goes to this part of a painting if something doesn't draw your attention to it. And I think this kind of flows as you're looking around the piece. It's not as big as a big piece that you need that flow. But yeah, I kind of like this one. I would probably frame this and do something with it. I like that one. Still waiting for it to completely dry. But with that being said, see, anybody can play with paint. You don't be critical. Just snapshot that inner critic and just have some fun. Play with paint. You try some of these techniques, these tools. Have some fun. I hope all of y'all remember to sign up for the Zulaby Wiley Summer Reading Challenge. That'll be going on, through July. It's a lot of fun. I've already won some badges. I'm really excited about all that. I would like to share that excitement with you. Summer is here. I love summer. So let's go out there and make it a great one, even with all the challenges that we're facing. Love y'all. Bye.